I hope that you are well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 7 English lesson on context clues. And before we start our lesson on context clues, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once we log on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of language arts, grade 7, and then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of context clues. And yes, we already did context clues, but we're just going to go back and we're going to look at finding words using context clues as well as to use context to identify the meaning of the word. All right, so our chapter is context clues. The subject is English language arts. Grade 7. And the lessons that we are going to be focusing on is to find words using context, and to use context to identify the meaning of a word. All right. So we're going to find words using context as well as to use context to identify the meaning of the word. So if you don't know the meaning of a specific word, hey, so if you don't know the meaning of a specific word, you can always look for context clues. So you can look for certain clues that might basically help you, right, to figure out the meaning of a specific word. So if you don't know the meaning of a word, you can look for context clues. And context clues are nearby words or phrases, or nearby words and phrases that help you to figure out the meaning of an unknown word or a word that you don't know. All right, so once again, if you don't know the meaning of a word, remember there's going to be times where you don't know meanings of certain words, right? But if you don't know a meaning of a word, you can always look for certain clues. And when we say certain clues, then we can say context clues because you can then find something within context, right? And context clues are nearby words or phrases that can help you figure out the meaning of an unknown word. And some examples of context clues, right, is, for example, it says, Maureen asked for expedited, expedite service for her passport so that she'd have it in time for her trip. So this word, expedite, right? If you look at context within that sentence, right? So if you don't know what the word expedite means, right? Then now we will basically, it's almost like you reread that sentence up until you find some context clue that will basically tell you what you think the meaning might be. For example, once again, it says Maureen asked for expedite service for her passport so that she'd have it in time for her trip. So if it means that she wants to have it in time for her trip, right, then it means that expedite service probably means she wants hurried service, quick service, right? She wants them to speed up the process because she specifically wants her passport in time for her trip. She don't want them to delay with her passport. She wants quick service, speedy service, right? So for example, it says you can guess that expedite means either to hurry or speed up. So hurried or speed up. It's either she wants him to hurry it up or hurried service or speed up service or fast service or quick service in order for her to get her passport in time. And at the city council meeting, Mr. Harrington lambasted the mayor for refusing to address the city's traffic problem. So at the city council meeting, Mr. Harrington lambasted the mayor for refusing to address the city's traffic problem. So the word lambasted, right? If they're saying at the city council meeting, remember it's a meeting, Mr. Harrington lambasted the mayor for refusing to address the city's traffic problems, then it means that he probably addressed the mayor, right? He addressed the mayor, or he basically, let's say, verbally attacked the mayor. We won't even want to really use the word attack, right? But if there's a problem, then of course somebody's going to attack you verbally. They are going to stand up and they're going to say certain things, right? Because they want you to hear or they want you to listen to what they're saying this time around. And an example, right, of or of maybe, for example, Mr. Harrington, or let's say an example of the word lambasted, right? It means you can guess it lambasted means either to be criticized or it can be verbally attacked. And remember, verbally attacked basically just means that they are standing up and they're telling you what it is, right? Verbal talking, right? So they're not physically attacking someone, they are verbally attacking the person and they are attacking the person with words. And another example, it says nobody understood why Corey decided to move to France. His decision to go there seemed completely arbitrary. So nobody understood why Corey decided to move to France. His decision to go there seemed completely arbitrary. So the word arbitrary, right? It's like they're questioning it, like, we don't understand why you went to France, right? And when they say it seems completely arbitrary, we can say that it seems completely random. So basically, you can guess that arbitrary means random, right? So it is so completely random that Corey would decide to just move to France, right? So that is arbitrary. Arbitrary is random. Expedite means hurried, speed up, quickly. Lambasted means either to criticize somebody, verbally attack somebody, or basically just standing up and telling it like it is, or telling the person like it is. And remember, as you're reading, right? As you're reading, you can often figure out the meaning of an unknown word by just looking at the words or phrases that surround it. It's the same as, let's say, the sentence where the lady said that she wants him to a passport to be expedite, right? Right? And then she specifically said because she wants a passport before her trip. So yeah, it says as you're reading, you can often figure out the meaning of an unknown word by just looking at the words and phrases that surround it. So of course, that previous meaning, right, or the previous sentence where the lady said that she needs it before her trip, it already gave us an idea that she wants him to speed up the process. And also when it comes to let's see, it's the familiar words, right? And phrases that help you to determine the meaning of an unfamiliar word. They call them context clues. So, context clues is when the familiar word and phrase helps you to determine the meaning of an unfamiliar word. And we call them context clues. And once again, you can find clues within your sentence by basically just looking at the surrounding words or words or phrases that surround that specific word that you need, that you think you know the you that you're basically looking the meaning for, or that you don't know the meaning of as yet. And if we look at a few examples, right? It says here are some examples of how context clues can be used to determine the meaning of an unknown word or of unknown words. So we see that context clues can be used to determine the meaning of unknown words. And remember, we said that the words, and you can determine the meaning of unknown words by looking at the words and phrases that surrounds it, right? And once you look at those words and phrases that surround it, then you'll be able to identify what that unfamiliar word means based on the surroundings. And if we look at an example, right, of how context clues can be used to determine meanings of an unknown words, it says Martha attempted to placate the angry customer by offering him a free cup of coffee. So Martha attempted to placate the angry customer by offering him a free cup of coffee. So basically, if you look at the word placate, right? So basically, if we look at the word placate, right, it says from the sentence, which is Martha attempted to placate the angry customer by offering him a free cup of coffee. It says from the sentence, you can guess that Martha's kind gestures was meant to calm the angry customer. So by giving, something like offering the customer a coffee, right? And if we look at the context, right, remember the context is all the surrounding, either it can either be phrases that surround the word, right? And if we look at that sentence of Martha attempted to placate the customer or the angry customer by offering him a free cup of coffee, right? Firstly, it was a kind gesture that she did, right? To calm the angry customer. And now, if we look at the context within that sentence, the context helps you to understand that placate means to make someone less angry. So if someone is really angry or someone is, throwing a fit or whatever, then we need to basically make the person less angry. And that also happens like that is within the sentence. And if we look at the word placate, right, then it means that you need to find your context within your sentences. So to avoid deleter, delete, deleterious, so to avoid deleterious actions such as eating junk food and smoking. Avoid deleterious actions such as eating junk food and smoking. And if we look at that sentence, right, that sentence tells you that eating junk food and smoking are examples of deleterious actions, right? It's bad actions. And you know that eating junk food and smoking are both harmful behaviors. So if we look at that word, avoid deleterious actions such as eating junk food and smoking. So if we look at the word junk food and we look at the word smoking, right? It means that junk food as well as smoking, it can basically cause harm, right? Cause harm to our bodies, right? So if they're saying we need to avoid deleterious actions, and deleterious actions would be these things that causes us harm or they can be damage to our system. So which means that eating junk food as well as smoking are harmful behaviors. And the last one is Eric was extroverted, unlike his shy sister. So Eric was extroverted, unlike his shy sister. So you get an introvert as well as an extrovert, right? And an introvert is when somebody's shy, they're not as talkative, they prefer to be on their own, right? And then you get an extroverted, right? Is where somebody is bubbly, the person is outgoing, the person would love to be around crowds and people, right? So the sentence tells you that Eric is unlike his shy sister. So you can guess that extroverted means the opposite of shy. And that is why I said introvert is when you're shy, you keep to yourself, whereas extroverted is the opposite of shy. You're outgoing, you're bubbly, right? So which means that in this case, the sentence really, it basically tells us that extroverted means that you are outgoing. All right, so we are doing our tutorial lesson on aplusstudents.ca. So now we're going to aplusstudents.ca and we're going to find words in using in context, right? We're going to find words using context. And we say that if you don't know the meaning of a word, then you can always look for context clues, right? And where will you find your clues? You will find your clues within the sentence, or within the sentences, or within that little paragraph or what something that you're writing, right? And context clues are nearby words or phrases that will help you to figure out the meaning of an unknown word. And when we say it's an unknown word, then it means that we don't know the meaning of of a specific word. But now, the more we read either our sentence or our text, right, then we can maybe try to make meaning of what the meaning of the word was. All right. And remember, we said that a context clues you need to find within your sentence, because it's nearby words or phrases, right, that will basically help you to identify an unknown word. All right. So now it says we need to select the word that means included within a larger category. So when exposed to high temperature and pressure, limestone transforms into marble. Similarly, under the correct conditions, mudstone can become slate, marble, slate, and quartzite are all subsumed under the term metamorphic rocks. Metamorphic rocks are created when other rocks and subject are subjected to intense heat and pressure within, or let's say beneath, the Earth's surface. So basically, if we look at the word subsumed, right? Remember, firstly, if we look at the word subsumed, and then sub means either below or it means under, right? So here they're saying when exposed to high temperature and pressure, limestone transforms into marble. Similarly, under the correct conditions, mudstones can become slate. Marble, slate, and quartzite are all consumed under the term metamorphic rocks. And when it's subsumed under that term, right, then we can say all of that is under the word metamorphic rocks. So it's including a larger or bigger area. And then we have Scotch broom can damage native ecosystems within much. Okay, Scotch brooms can damage native ecosystems in much of the United States. The flowering plant was introduced to this country from Europe, and it has flourished in the wild here. The problem is that it spreads quickly and crowds out native plants, destroying habitats for native wildlife. All right. And remember, if you don't know the meaning of a specific word, then you can look at a certain phrases or words within the sentence that will basically give you an idea of what the word means. It's like they will give you a clue, right? Because now we need to look at the nearby words or the nearby phrases. For robotics competitions, teams spend weeks designing their robots and programming them to do battle against competitors' robots. The resulting robot games are often boisterous, watching their creations perform against the others. The human competitors don't hold back from whooping and cheering. And remember, we said with context clues, you're going to have to find the clues of a specific word that you don't understand within the sentence or noun phrases or within certain phrases, right? And especially the word boisterous. It says the resulting robot games are often boisterous, right? And the meaning of the word boisterous means that it is lively and also it is noisy. So boisterous, and boisterous, it means it can be very noisy, can be lively, right? And that is why they're saying that it will at least be fun knowing that they are performing against each other and they don't hold back from whooping and cheering. All right, so now let's go to our test. So we're going to find the words using context clues, right? Within a sentence. It says we need to select the word that means to do something special or to honor and remember. So to do something special, to honor and remember. The Chinese festival of, is it King Ming, takes place on the 15th day after the spring e- equinox, right? On this day, people burn paper, spirit money, and models of houses and cars to commemorate the dead. Their hope is to make their departed relatives more comfortable in the spirit world. So we basically need to come up with a word that means to do something or something special to honor and remember. Is that to commemorate something or is it relatives? So if we were to come up with the word, or let's not come up with the word, if we were to select the word that means either to celebrate something, right? Then it means that we can commemorate the day, right? So it is to commemorate something. Because relatives just basically means either family, right? So commemorate is correct. We need to select the word that means the basic framework or system of public works. Civil engineers, they design infrastructure projects, such as roads, dams, tunnels, and bridges. So we need to select the word that means the basic framework or system of public works. So we said civil engineers design infrastructures projects such as roads, dams, tunnels, and bridges. And this is a new field. The builders of the ancient pyramids also use engineering concepts. However, the tools available to civil engineers today, such as computer aided design programs, have improved the speed of accuracy of the work. All right. And if we look at certain words, let's say context clues, right, which will basically give us the idea of basic framework or system public works. Words such as your roads, your dams, your tunnels, your bridges, and so on. These are all words that is to do with the infrastructure of the areas, right? Not accuracy, but infrastructure. And infrastructure is correct. So we need to select the word now that means gave a false idea of. So Edith Piaf was a French singer that was born in 1915 who influenced many other singers, including Frank Sinatra. She stood just under 5 feet tall, but her tiny size belied, was it belied, or let's say belied the size of her voice. She sang huge, booming songs and is especially remembered for her recording of a song titled Non Je ne something, which means French for no, I regret nothing. So we need to select the word that means gave a false idea of. So they actually mean that when they say her tiny size belied the size of her voice, which means that she's got a tiny body but a big, beautiful voice. And and if we look at the word that gave the false idea of, then we would say it's belied or belied. That is to give a false idea of, right? So now if we select the word that means having a huge appetite, if you have a huge appetite, right, you're extremely hungry, it says the shrew the shrew is a tiny mouse-like mammal with an elevated metabolic rate. In the space of just 1 minute, it breathes about 800 times, and its heart beats about 1,000 times. The shrew is also voracious. Every day it eats its entire body weight of in prey such as insects, worms, as well as salamanders, manders. So the shrew is a tiny mouse-like mammal with an elevated metabolic rate. In the space of just 1 minute, it breathes about 800 times and its heartbeat about 1,000 times. The shrew is also voracious, right? And every day it eats an entire body weight in prey such as insects, worms, and salamanders. Now we need to basically select a word that means having a huge appetite. So is it salamanders or voracious? And if we find words within our sentence, or let's say context within our sentence, that will basically give us or tell us what having a huge appetite means, right? Then it says that the shrew is voracious and every day it eats the entire body weight in prey. So that is telling us basically that voracious means that is having a big appetite or a huge appetite. So voracious, big appetite or huge appetite. And to select the word that means, we need to select the word that means to show by good evidence. The United States government has imposed labeling requirements on manufacturers who sell vitamins and other dietary supplements. The manufacturer must be able to substantiate any claims it makes about the product's benefits with facts or results of scientific studies. The government can take action against a company for making misleading statements. So we basically need to select the word that means to show by good evidence. So is it substantiate or manufacturers? So they're saying that the manufacturers must be able to substantiate, right? You need to come up with claims, right? That makes it about the product and claims it makes about the product's benefits with facts or results of scientific studies. So which means that if we were to show by good evidence, right, then it means that we need to substantiate any claims that it makes about the product's benefits. Because manufacturer is or factoring is to of course make something, but to substantiate is to basically come up with ideas as to, what's happening, how can we do something different, right? So that is now the end of our lesson, grade 7 on context clues. And we said within sentences, right? Context clues, it gives us the idea, or it gives us, or it tells us, or it comes up with words or phrases, right? That will at least tell us what the specific meaning or a word means. So sometimes we'll find a word within a sentence that we don't know, but the nearby words, right, that is surrounding that word will basically tell us or give us a clue as to what the context of that word or what the meaning of that word means. All right, so thank you very much, grade sevens, for joining the class. I really hope you're going to have a good day further. Goodbye.